Welcome, everyone. It's so good to be with you on this day, just a few days before the Easter weekend. Thank you so much for joining us for Inside the Numbers with Andrea Miller and winning in Virginia. Virginia's got a really important election coming up in the I think it's next month. Is that correct? Or this
Yeah,
month?
it's this month. It's
Yes, okay, it's
April.
April. It's April 1st. All right. So I want to make sure everyone, whether you vote in Virginia or you vote in some other state, please request your absentee ballot today and vote in the primaries and other special elections that are coming up. And remember to ask for your ballot to be sent to you by email because the postal service in America is not good anymore. One other quick reminder before I turn it over to Martha is April is Earth Month. And for Earth Month, we are having a film screening and a conversation with the makers of this film, The White House Effect. It's really great, and I would ask you to join us. It's on April 15th at 12 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central European Time. And when you RSVP, you'll get not only the link to the event, but you'll actually get a link to a free screener where you can watch the movie with your friends, with your family, and then join us for the event. So, with that, I'd like to turn it over to Martha.
Thanks so much, Angela Fobbs, our Global Events Director. My name is Martha McDevitt Pugh. I'm the International Chair of Democrats Abroad, and I'm really delighted to introduce our guest today, Andrea Miller. She is the founding board member of the Center for Common Ground, Executive Director of People Demanding Action, and founding president of the National Women's Political Caucus of Virginia. Andrea is an IT and political director and a digital and election strategist. She designs and administers digital phone banks and texting programs. And from 2013 to 2015, she led the Progressive Roundtable on Capitol Hill, bringing together members of Congress, activists, and nonprofit leaders. Her expertise is in voting rights, so we love that, climate, as well as the Equal Rights Amendment. She has successfully advocated for legislation on both the federal and state levels. In 2008, she was the Democratic nominee for Virginia's 4th Congressional District. Welcome, Andrea, and the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Martha, Angela, Karen, Judith, for letting me know about this and your whole team. I am delighted to be coming to you from Central Virginia. Now, where in Central Virginia? Well, I-95, exit 110, exactly in between the city of Fredericksburg and the city of Richmond. And so, what I will be showing you today will be my analysis of what is going on in Virginia with this redistricting campaign. Now, people may have heard of the California campaign, which was called Prop 50. Well, we got really basic in Virginia and we called it the Vote Yes campaign. Now, why is Virginia redistricting in the first place? Well, we are because President Trump went to the governor of Texas and he said, I need 5 more congressional seats. And so Texas did a mid-decade redistrict. And then he went to Ohio, North Carolina, and Missouri. And so those states, the legislature redistricted. They did not ask the voters. It was just the legislature drew new maps and said, hey, here are the new maps. And this is what they're going to run in 2026. And they came up with +9 seats. California in 2025 said if Texas really redraws their map mid-decade, then we will redraw the California maps. And California asked the people of California with the top 50, should we do this? And California said yes. Now, the state of Utah, their legislature said yes, we're going to give one seat. And then Virginia looked at her map and said, even though we only have 11 congressional districts, we believe we can come up with 4 new Democratic seats. So this is how we got here. Currently, of the 11 congressional districts, there are 6 Democratic districts and there are 5 Republican districts. Now, Governor Abigail Spanberger ran in 2025, and there was a statewide Democratic shift in all 133 counties in Virginia. They all shifted blue. Now, the legislature said, okay, based on what we've seen, we believe it's going to be very, very easy for us to retain districts 3, 4, 8, 10, 11, and probably 7. And they said the 4 districts that we believe we're going to be able to flip will be District 1, 2, which Abigail Spanberger easily won, and District 5 and 6, which came close. So that would make Virginia 10-1. And there would be 1 Republican district in Congressional District 9. So that's currently a Republican district, and under the proposed map, it will remain a Republican district. Now, 56.4% of Virginia voters are going to be in a new district. And what I will drop in the chat later on will be this. Okay, wait a minute. If they redraw these maps, what district am I going to be in? Because I am one of those 56.4 Virginia voters who is in a new district. All right, now the upcoming election. Early voting has already started for the April 21st election, and early voting runs through April 18th. Governor Spanberger believed we would be successful with the Vote Yes campaign. So she moved the congressional primaries from June to August. That would give the candidates an opportunity to, number one, figure out what district they're going to run in. And right now, we have primary elections in 9 out of 11 districts. And then the congressional election will remain on November 3rd. Now, at Center for Common Ground, our superpower is we do outreach to Black voters, rural voters, urban voters. And we have seen some of the most cynical, lying, awful disinformation ever in any kind of a campaign. This is the first thing that I saw literally a week before early voting was supposed to start. Our ancestors fought for our right to vote or to represent us. Now, Richmond politicians are trying to take our districts away. Vote no and return your ballot immediately. This went to all Black vote by mail rural voters. Just like Jim Crow, they want to silence your voice. Vote no and return your ballot immediately. Now, The paid for on this is by the Democracy and Justice Political Action Committee, and they've got some heavy duty civil rights images there. They've got the Klan marching through one of the cities, and then they've got law enforcement probably chasing young teenagers from a lunch counter. Who is the Democracy and Justice PAC? None other than failed Black Republican former delegate A.C. Cordoza, with a little funding thrown in from Eric Cantor. Now, as everybody knows, the last thing, unfortunately, that Republicans want in any state, let alone Virginia, is us teaching Black history or civil rights history. So there was a lot of pushback on their use of civil rights imagery. So they came up with this. It's modern. They want to silence our voices. We can't let them. The entire campaign has been used against 1 million Black voters, which is what Virginia basically is. So this now started going to urban voters. Governor Spanberger won 87% of the Black vote. So they, on a newer mailer, put Governor Spanberger's image and said, "Say no to gerrymandering," which actually is referencing a comment she made in 2019 under totally different circumstances. And then you have this one. 10-1 is not fair. Vote no. So now they're bringing children in, and people are looking at that and they're going, wow, 10-1 is not fair. Again, people, let's not lose sight of why we're doing this. And then from a 2020 comment, President Obama, vote no on gerrymandering, protect minority representation. One of the really sad, irritating things about this is the mailer that went out to Black voters telling them it was just like Jim Crow and they should vote no. The majority of those Black voters were, if we redistricted, going to get a Black member of Congress for the first time. So anyway, that's what we've been fighting. Now, we've responded. We have canvassing materials where we show people President Obama and Governor Spanberger say vote yes on April 21. It's an emergency temporary response to gerrymandering by the Republicans. And one of the things I said last night is I said, I want you to look at the scenario. Your child falls down versus an adult knocks your child down. Do you have the same response and reaction? And the answer is no. Child is on the ground, but there's two different reasons why they got there. So anyway, in all of our scripts, we remind people that this April 21st election is potentially going to determine the control of the U.S. House of Representatives. President Obama, Governor Spanberger, and the NAACP encourage you to vote yes. Now, so far, we have signed 235,000 addresses so that we can send postcards to the localities in Virginia with the largest registered Black voting population. So Henrico, which has 66,000 registered Black voters. They are the largest. And then City of Richmond, Norfolk, Hampton, Chesterfield. You pretty much know the large cities in Virginia. Basically, Central Virginia, Northern Virginia, and Hampton Roads. Now, we also have phone banks going out to all those localities. And we did a couple of phone banks where friends had, well, we live in a smaller locality and we have a phone bank. And it's like, sure, you can have a phone bank. Now, we've got a dialer. Our phone bank is open 7 days a week. We do leave messages, and we've got 507,000 phone numbers of registered Black voters in that phone bank. Now, the new districts. Should I take questions now, or do people just want to see the districts? Well, no, we want to see these
let's see the
districts.
districts, and then we'll take some questions.
All righty, all righty. Now, this is the proposed Congressional District 1. All right, now, the CD1 will consist of Prince William and Fairfax. That's how they blew the district. Spotsylvania, Stafford, Hanover County, Fredericksburg. It's going right down I-95, and then it's heading toward the ocean, and then it grabs King William. So they built this district from the existing Congressional District 7, my district, the original CD1, but notice it's mostly CD7, and then Congressional District 8, 11, 10, and 5. So CD1 and CD5 are Republican leaning districts. CD8, 10, and 11 are Northern Virginia, bluer than blue districts. So when you look at the map, you see all the blue in the northern part of the district, and then you see more red down here heading toward the ocean. All right, now what's the district look like? Well, it is 30% Republican. It is 50% Democratic. And when we look at nonpartisan, we know that in Virginia, the nonpartisan lean has basically been 70%. So what I'm going to do for simple math is I'm going to say 20% take it at 10, 50 and 10. The district Democratic lean should be roughly 60%. In other words, this should now be a Democratic district. This is the first district they're working to flip. CD2. This district is the least changed of all the districts. Now, this district consists of Virginia Beach. It still has the entire city of Virginia Beach. It has a part of Chesapeake, Suffolk, Isle of Wight, Accomack, Northampton, which were originally in there, and Franklin. So 518,000 voters, or 94% of the district, is the original CD2. And what they did was they borrowed 34,000 voters from CD3 to blue up the district a little more. So what are we looking at? We're looking at a district that's 33% Republican. So again, if we go 47, cut this in half, we end up with 57. So again, Democratic leaning district. District 3 is a very, very, very blue district. It is 44% African American. It is only 18% Republican. It is 62% Democratic. And then if I take 10, it's 72% Democratic leaning. And when you look at it on the map, it's right here. And you can see that district is very blue. And that district is going to stay very blue. What they did was this district is 92% the original CD3. They polled a few of the Republican voters out of CD2, and they added the coast and city, which was originally in CD1. So that reddened the district up a little bit, but it's still basically, we're expecting at least 70% Democratic performance in that district. CD4. CD4 used to contain the entire city of Richmond. The city of Richmond has now been split into districts. Now, city of Richmond, Henrico, Chesterfield, and then a lot of small red counties, Halifax, Prince George, very blue Petersburg, very red Mecklenburg, Hopewell and Dinwiddie kind of go back and forth, incredibly red Colonial Heights, very blue Brunswick, bluish Williamsburg, Sussex, Greenville, and then Emporia and Franklin and Surrey go back and forth. So it's 65% the original 4th district, which is Jen McClellan's district. There will be no Democratic primary in that district. They took some red counties from CD5. They pulled a couple of red counties from CD1, and they pulled a little bit of a red area from CD2. So again, CD4, it's 59% Democratic, 59 and 8. That's going to have about a 67% Democratic performance. So for Jennifer McClellan, her district picked up a lot of geography, but it's basically the same number of voters. CD5. This is a big flip district. And how are they flipping it? Right here in Richmond? CD5 only has 3 counties in it: the city of Richmond, Henrico County, and Chesterfield. Since the city of Richmond turned in an 86% Democratic performance in 2025, they're like, we only need a hunk of the city of Richmond, Henrico and Chesterfield County for our House of Delegates. Every single delegate in the county for both of those counties is now a Democrat. CD5 was formed predominantly from CD1. Henrico and Chesterfield, those areas were originally in CD1. They took 189,000 voters from the original 4th district. And then we've got 121,000 voters from Congressional District 5. So what's the Democratic lean? 51 and 8, 59. This is the stretch district, Congressional District 6. We are out in Western Virginia. All right, now, what did they do? This was interesting. They went all the way down to the city of Roanoke, and then they came all the way up to Stanton and Harrisonburg, and they picked up every city in between. They grabbed Lynchburg, Salem, Charlottesville. And then they've got the very red counties that are sort of in Southwest Virginia. And they said, hopefully with our cities, we will have blued them up enough. This is our stretch district. When we look at its Democratic lean, it's 32% Republican. 49 and 8 is 57% Democratic. This district's going to be interesting. Right now, Beth Macy is the front runner candidate in the primary for this district because Charlottesville is in this district. Tom Perriello has said if Virginia redistricts, he will run for Congress in CD6, and that will pit Beth Macy against Tom Perriello head to head in a primary. That one's going to be interesting. All right, now, how did they get to 6? They have the original 6. They kept 37% of it. They grabbed the cities that were in CD5, Lynchburg, Albemarle, Charlottesville were originally in CD5. And then they grabbed a couple of cities from CD9 and they kind of put them together and they said, we think with the right candidate, we could potentially win this district. All right, now, geographically, the most changed district of all the districts. This is my old district. This district now begins in Fairfax County. It also includes Arlington County. Then it heads west and gets Culpeper. It also has Prince William. That's what all this blue is. It's starting in Northern Virginia. It's got the city of Falls Church. And then it's starting to head west Fauquier County. And then it comes down I-95 into Spotsylvania. And then it turns into a little lobster where it heads east. And when we go east, we're picking up, what are we picking up east? I don't know what we're picking up east. Oh, that's Spotsylvania. But when we go west, it's grabbing Powhatan, Orange, Goochland, Augusta, Fauquier, Greene, Cumberland, and Buckingham. This district is currently Eugene Vindman's district. And as you can see, they built this district from Congressional District 8, Don Byers' district, the original District 7, that's Vindman's district, CD 11, and then they went into Congressional District 5 and grabbed that part of the wing, and CD 6, that's the southern part, and then CD 10, they got this northern part. So that's a very, very interesting district. I call that the Little Lobster Crustacean District. All right, now, CD8. If you know your Virginia districts, you know that Congressional District 8 originally consisted of Alexandria and Arlington, and it was a little tiny blue dot right up here. Now, Congressional District 8 comes down I-95, heads south, and then goes to the ocean. So it is the city of Alexandria, Prince William, Fairfax, Arlington, York, Stafford, Caroline. I am in Caroline, so I am now in the 8th district instead of the 7th. And then it's heading west or heading east to the ocean. New Kent, King George, Westmoreland, Middlesex, Essex, Matthew. It's got a tiny bit that's really the city of Richmond, not Richmond County, and then King and Queen, which are oceanside counties. So they built CDA. It is still a good part of Congressional District 8. This part right here was originally CD1. This part right here was originally CD7. And then this little hunk up here was originally CD 11. So again, when we look at Democratic performance, 53% Democratic plus 10, 63% Democratic performance. CD9, every small Western county they could find is in CD9. CD9 is only 34% Democratic, but theoretically, with wind at our back, an extraordinary candidate, weirder things have happened in Virginia. CD9 theoretically could be won because it is 47% Republican. That means that there's basically an equal part that is not Republican, actually a little more, because it does have pockets of blue. We are not really trying to flip this district. All right, CD10, this is another solidly blue district. Loudoun and Fairfax, Prince William. Winchester is a blue city, and they added Clark and Frederick. They pulled that out of CD6 to redden this, but not enough. It is still only 29% Republican, 54% Dem. Plus, let's take half of the nonpartisan, 54 and 8 is 62. And they built CD10 mostly out of the original CD10. They grabbed this hunk down here of CD6, and then they got a little bit of CD11 over here. And then our last district, CD11, again, they started it in Northern Virginia. It is in Fairfax. It comes down into Prince William, heads west into Fauquier, Shenandoah, Warren. It's got the city of Manassas and Fairfax City and Manassas Park. And then it goes and gets Rappahannock, Rockingham, and Page. Again, when we look at Democratic performance, 55 Dem plus 8, 55 and 8, that would give us 63. It is only 29% Republican. Again, this is currently a Democratic district. Now, Eugene Vindman, who is currently the congressman in CD7, has said if we redistrict, he's going to follow his district and run in CD1 instead of CD7. Shannon Taylor, who is currently running in CD1, has said she will follow her district and she will run in Congressional District 5. So isn't all that fun? Now, one of the things I always want to make certain that people understand is, what are we looking at when we talk about leveling the playing field? What are we saying? Well, we're basically saying that Congress decides the federal budget, how we're going to spend our money. And right now, they are doing everything they can to pass this AVAC, which would disenfranchise roughly 91 million Americans, require that they have documentary proof of citizenship, which 91 million Americans just don't really have. Again, there's 69 million women in there who married, changed their name, and don't have passports. So that's how we're ending up with 91 million. So anyway, currently in the U.S. House, we have 220 Republicans, 217 Democrats. And we're like, with these numbers, this is how we got the most immoral federal budget that anybody could ever think of. We passed the SAVE Act through the House twice, and we're kind of saved because the Senate right now needs 60 votes. If nothing else changed and we just added 9 new Republican seats, the numbers would shift to 229 Republicans and 206 Democrats. So that means all the bad stuff they've done, they would continue doing it. Now, if nothing else changed and Virginia just added her 4 seats, we theoretically would be looking at 221 Democrats and 216 Republicans, which I suggest you look at 3 very important things. Number one, would you still have health care? Number two, would you now become a target for ICE because, like me, you are a ground skin person and the new budget wants to give ICE an additional $65 billion after the 80 billion that they already got, and that's billion with a B. And will you still be able to vote? So that really is what is concerning us. And I'm just going to let you know, we do have phone banks open. Now, we know our old dialer will work from anywhere because your computer is going to be making the calls and you're not really using your phone. It doesn't really care what your phone, well, it doesn't what your phone number is. With our new dialer, they're still scratching their heads going, wait a minute. You want to do what? So I'm currently fussing with the impacted folks. And that is the end of my presentation. And I am more than happy to entertain questions. Now, I also have the live maps. I showed you pictures of the maps, but I also have the live maps as well. So we can
Wow.
get wild and crazy with these maps.
Those maps are awesome. And thank you so much for your and your committee's work. You've done a outstanding job, and we're gonna take Virginia. I think you're gonna win that other seat too, the Republican one, um, for sure. We need it. There's a lot of people in Virginia that I'm sure have lost jobs from the government. So,
Yes, and if the government keeps going the way they are, let's cut these federal workforces. Virginia has 365,000 federal workers, and they're not all in Northern Virginia. They're literally spread in every section of Virginia. Northern Virginia, Hampton Roads, you've got all the civilian military folks. Central Virginia, you've got all of the administrative and buying functions for the military in Central Virginia. And there's even 20,000 federal workers in Southwest Virginia.
yes. So, yay. We're gonna win. We have a bunch of questions, but one of the main ones that keeps coming up is how do people get involved with phone banking or any other activities to help?
Right. Well, postcards, we're too late to do postcards right now. But what we can do, yes, and I'm going to drop a link in the chat because I promise, and I don't want to forget. Oh, well, I'll drop it. Is there a chat? Yeah, in
Yeah.
the chat. All right, this is how you will find your congressional district. All right, now for
Hmm.
phone banks, I'm going to give you a link, centerforcommonground.org/phone banks. I'm still fussing with impactive. If you have the ability to, our big impactive dialer is going to call your phone. They don't think they have it programmed to call an international number. So it could only call a US number. With Impactive, you actually speak over your phone. On PDI, you talk over the computer. So PDI doesn't care. Both sets of phone banks are on that page that I gave you. Now, I'm going to give you another link and I will follow up with you and let you know what I learned from Impactive about having people that are out of the country and have international numbers. Um, this is where we do our phone bank training every Tuesday and Thursday. It's really 6 p.m. Eastern, but if you need training, we can schedule something specially for you at a date and time of your choosing. Um, we also have text banking. So we just opened that up and I just got the bill and it was heart stopping. So I'm not sure how much text banking we're going to do, but we'll see.
Okay. Yeah, so people can get involved with phone banking, maybe text banking. And is there any way, like one of the people in the audience said that their son lives in somewhere in Virginia, that they could um that they could that he wants to get involved? Is there any like what do you call it, door knocking or anything like
Yes,
that?
yes, yes. We do have canvassing for people who are local. We have canvassing. And for canvassing, I'm going to say you're going to contact me.
Oh,
Um, or these are our partners. I'm part of the grassroots campaign. He can go to voteyes.us and they have links, phone bank Inc., canvassing, and he can just click on canvassing and it'll tell him all the people that are doing canvassing. And then all
okay.
the places. Now, the Vote Yes campaign, they are canvassing literally all over the state. We're only canvassing in about 15 of the large counties, but we have the totally cool canvassing materials. Our materials are cooler than theirs.
Okay. Super. Super. Um, we have a question that is, are you putting up billboards and yard signs that say vote yes?
And the answer to that is yes. We are putting up billboards and signs, and that would be part of the Vote Yes .us. So they have great signs. The campaign has these kind of wishy-washy signs, and they're okay. They say vote yes. Um, our signs, we're the grassroots, so we're kind of, you know,
More to the point? Hmm.
badass.
Yeah.
So our signs show fighting Lady Liberty, fight back,
Right.
vote
Scroll
yes.
up a little bit. Can't see it all the
Yes,
way.
exactly. Yeah. So we are a little more direct.
Oh,
They have a nice little sign that says vote yes, and you can't really see it. You do notice Boxing Lady Liberty.
I love that. That is awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, that is
Yes.
really awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Our next question is, when you are phone banking, what is the response? Are people in favor of no, or are they mostly saying they'll vote yes?
What we're finding, because we're calling Black voters, is the uh, first few weeks we were calling, people were going, there's an election when. The Vote Yes campaign has $40 million, which they apparently spent mostly on TV ads, which no one sees. And so now that the grassroots has been out and there's been more canvassing and there's been a lot of educational seminars, webinars like this, and churches are talking to people, people are going, oh, okay, we're getting it. Early voting has been really big. We are almost at 600,000 people who have early voted so far in this campaign. Now, here's the scary part. Our big 12 counties are at the very bottom of the list in terms of percent of their voters who have come out. And the other thing we're hearing that's kind of scary is we're hearing from a number of people in Northern Virginia that they're voting no because gerrymandering is wrong. And I like my congressperson and I don't want a new one. And I'm thinking they're in a primary. You may not get the congressperson you like anyways. So those are what we're hearing. So even though it appears that Democratic turnout is really high, we don't know that they're voting yes.
Yeah, this was a problem in a sense in the beginning with California that a lot of people were stubbornly holding on to whatever ideas they had. Not saying that they're wrong per se, but we have an emergency situation here. This isn't some kind of, you know, classroom philosophical discussion. We have to take action. And so voting yes is the logical conclusion, since Republican states are trying to redistrict out our representatives, and we can't let that happen.
And we don't know that Florida won't redistrict. We know they're kicking it around.
Yeah, well, I think they're going to get a big surprise in Florida. I vote in Florida. They're going to get a big surprise um, this year.
I think
Um,
Texas might even be a little bit surprised.
yeah, I think they're going to get a big surprise too, but um, they'll find out. Our next question is, does the total number of districts change?
No, we cannot by law change the number of districts until the 2030 census. And if we find the population of Virginia has increased so much and the population of Virginia is decreasing, we will not be adding any new districts. This is a reshuffling of the 11 districts that we currently have.
Great. So someone would like to know, who are Beth Macy and Tom Perello?
Well, Beth Macy is a very famous author. I've never read any books, but everybody that I know says, "Oh yes, she's very famous." So I'll accept that. And Tom Perriello is the former congressman from Congressional District 5. Tom Perriello was originally elected back in 2008. He was part of the Obama wave. And now remember, in 2010, we passed the Affordable Care Act, otherwise known as Obamacare. And so Tom Perriello was one of the people who lost his seat in that backlash that people had over Obamacare, which pretty much people now love,
Yeah,
but they've lost their subsidies. So their health care or health insurance premiums have literally, for a lot of people, doubled.
yeah, okay.
And then
You
I'm going to give you a link so you can read more about Tom and Beth.
okay, great. That would be wonderful. Um, our next question is, tell us about the early voting turnout. I think you touched on it a little bit earlier.
All right. Now, this is what has me concerned about the early voting turnout. The early voting turnout is very, 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 very good. All right. It is borderline great. All right. Now, Virginia has 133 counties. Here are the counties showing percent of their registered voters that have turned out. Now, if you've ever watched election returns in Virginia, you know that the entire map of Virginia initially turns red. I frequently do live calling of Virginia elections with a lot of people from California, Illinois, and New York on the phone. And as that map turns red, their eyes get bigger and bigger, and they're like, "Oh no, oh no!" It's like the big 14 are not in yet. The big 14 are bigger than the other 124 counties if all their voters voted. So we're waiting. So right now, we've got a lot of the early vote and red, 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 red. Williamsburg is bluish, but 15% of their vote, and it's 1,800 people. It isn't very big. Blue, red, 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 blue. Falls Church is bluer than blue, but 14% of their vote is in, and that's only 1,700 people. Red, 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 Albemarle. All right. 12% of their vote is, and that's 10,000 people. Okay, that's good. Red, 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 red. Fairfax City, tiny, 11% of their vote is in, and that's 2,200 people. Red, 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 red. Henrico, 10% of their vote is in, and 27,000 people have voted. So if Henrico, if the rest of that vote comes in, and Henrico, if they vote right, Governor Spanberger lived in Henrico County, and her mom lives there. Hopefully, Henrico will vote the right way. And then this is blue, but it's very small. 1,200 people have voted, and that's 10% of their voting power. Manassas is blue. And then we've got red, 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 red. Spotsylvania could be blue, and that's got 11,000 votes. So that's got a little size to it. Red, red. And then Charlottesville, but Charlottesville isn't that big, and only 9.9% of their folks have voted. And then we've got all these red. Roanoke City, it's reasonably small. 10% of their vote is in, and that's 6,500 people. And then we're red. Fredericksburg is blue, but that's 1,900 votes. Now, Chesterfield, that is one of the big blues. 9.5% of the vote is in from Chesterfield. All right. Mecklenburg, that's red. Franklin is blue, but it's tiny, 581 votes. Richmond County is red, 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 red. Lynchburg, weirdly enough, we're going to call Lynchburg purple. So Lynchburg, 9% is in. Suffolk should be blue, but it's not one of our big counties. Petersburg is not one of our big counties, but Petersburg City is 87% black, but it's not very big. Harrisonburg should be blue. Now we're getting into our blues. Chesapeake, Stafford, Hampton, Manassas Park, Alexandria, Virginia Beach, Fairfax County. All right, but look at where we are. Here's county 133, 132, 131. Prince William County has the fourth largest number of Black voters in the state. And then here's Norfolk, and look at Richmond City. These are all in the bottom 30 in terms of their percentage of their voters who have shown up. I'm saying maybe this is good because maybe people were tempted to vote no and then decided they wanted to think about it and maybe learn more, which is what I'm hoping. But that is what has me worried.
Right. So it's super important that the abroad vote come in. So I just want to remind everybody before I take this last question, to request your absentee ballots as quickly as possible. There's still time to request a ballot for this election and vote yes, because we need to stop the Republicans. This is not a test. This is a real situation. And if we want to save our country, if we want to stop these fascists, then people need to vote. And no matter what state you are in, request your absentee ballot today at votefromabroad.org and ask for it to be delivered to you by email. So we have another question. Is there a concern that some voters will feel their votes are being taken for granted and respond to this manipulation, and that's in quotes, by voting Republican?
And again, because they're not voting for a person, they're voting for a concept. And I was taught civics when I was growing up, so I understand how government is supposed to work. A lot of people apparently were not taught civics. So if they don't know how government is supposed to work, maybe they don't really understand that what we are seeing now. This is definitely not what our forefathers had in mind. We are just totally way down the road from what their concept was. So yes, I like to think, as I said, that people are really considering their votes. But again, now that people are getting literature that says Governor Spanberger says vote no, President Obama says vote no, people are going, what?
Yeah.
And they're being told it's gerrymandering. Gerrymandering is bad. So a lot of people are very confused about what they should do. If they have like a pastor or someone they trust, we are hearing that a lot of people are asking their pastors in church, and so a lot of churches have come to us to like get this presentation so they can kind of walk their voters through. Okay, you've all heard of the SAVE Act, and you know this is what they're trying to do. Do you have a certified copy of your birth certificate if you're a guy? No. Well, guess what? You won't be voting. And then for women, when you got married, did you change your name? Yes. You have a passport. Why do I need a passport? Because unless you married your cousin, your last name on your birth certificate and the last name you use on the marriage license aren't the same.
Well, I have one last question for you. In the beginning, you showed all these Republican ads about with, civil rights and all this. How are African American people responding to this nonsense?
Well, I'm hearing two extremes. I'm hearing about people that are very, very angry, saying, how dare they think that we are stupid and they can just show images of Black people and we're immediately going to believe it, which is why they went to Governor Spanberger. And then, especially when they realized we were saying in our script, President Obama and Governor Spanberger say vote yes. Then we started seeing President Obama. And then we're also hearing from some Black rural voters, well, my vote isn't going to matter as much. You have a Republican member of Congress. Do you really think he cares about you one way or the other? And by the way, if this redistricting goes through, Jen McClellan, a Black woman, would become your member of Congress. People didn't make that jump. They just immediately bought the knee jerk.
Yeah, well, okay. Just for the record, your vote always counts. It doesn't matter if there's 100,000 people voting for a Democrat or five. Your vote always counts. So that's not a reason to not vote or something, because there's a whole bunch of people around you that are voting. Yeah, your vote especially it counts.
Especially
Virginia.
in Virginia. In 2017, we lost House delegate seat, Delegate Shelley Simon, one vote.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So especially our overseas votes, people you sometimes it's been happening a lot where somebody will win by one vote or five votes or 25. So our votes count a lot. So please vote. Martha, would you like to close us out here a little bit if you're interested?
Um, Absolutely. Thank you so much, Andrea Miller, for that incredibly thorough presentation. It made me a little homesick. I'm not from Virginia, but the passion that you brought talking about the different parts of your state is absolutely beautiful. So thank you for letting us know all the ins and outs of what is happening on the ground now and the way we can make a difference as Americans abroad. So big thank you to you. Thank you to Angela for organizing this event today, to Judith for her suggestion and involvement, and to Karen, and to all of our volunteers and Democrats Abroad. We can never do all that we do without you. So thanks everyone for joining us today. Really terrific. And as Angela says, if you haven't already requested your ballot, go right now to votefromabroad.org and do that today.
Yes.
Thank you so very much for inviting me. This was wonderful. I so loved helping people understand because this is not really all that straightforward if you don't
Mm.
live with this every day.
Okay. Yes, thank you so much for joining us today for our guest, Andrea, and our audience. Um, Please remember to request your absentee ballot. I guess I can't say that enough. And if you think about it, maybe throw us a donation. So, because we have to keep things running, and this year we are going to have to work extra hard to find all the Americans who are living abroad. So, thank you everyone so much. Thank you, Andrea, and thank you, Martha, and thank you, Karen, for also joining us today. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Thanks.